Hello and welcome to Noise with Ivan. I am beginning my 8 week program as we speak. No, I'm going to start it tomorrow. I don't, and it scares me. It's something that scares me. It's going to be awkward for a while, but right now I'm cool. It hasn't started yet. I have this beautiful Wasabi by Espinosa cigar. I've been trying to not smoke my pipe. I usually smoke a pipe a lot. So I usually only smoke a cigar for Noise with Ivan, so my productivity as far as this goes has gone up. Um, Yet, this 8 week program may be a hindrance for Noise with Ivan. But first, before any of this, roll the intro. So I was watching David Cho, and he was like, "You need to pick." He's given all these influence. He's very influential, just motivational speaker the whole time. And he's like, "You need to pick 8 albums, 8 movies, and 8 books for 8 weeks, and that's the 8 week program." So I thought, oh gosh, I need to do it because I need to create. I need to think actively, and as you might know, I would like to. I think anyone in my life knows. I would like to practice guitar. I would like to practice mixing. I would like to do mixing for albums, right? I would like to work on skills for a little while as opposed to trying to make another project. I would like to, before I make another project, write thematically, come up with what I would like to do. And so the breaking down mind, turning it into going from watching YouTube, watching reels, watching television, and then listening to 5 or 6 albums every day is a lot. I don't know how I do it. I don't know how my brain processes all that, but that's definitely overstimulation. And that's one of the first things if you want to be if you want to activate thought, if you want to activate your brain, the best way to do that is ditch the phone. Just get rid of it, turn it off, stop watching YouTube, stop watching reels, stop going on social media. But the problem is that my job, my whole thing with Not of the Flesh and Noise with Ivan alike is I listened to 5 albums today, or I'm going to support and promote this album and I listen to all this. If you have to listen to 5 albums a day if you want to be supportive in the scene, everybody needs you to listen to their album. Your listenership is not wasted and is much appreciated in this scene. So I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this 8 week thing, but I'm going to try. I don't know what the grounds are for. So I picked 8 books, 8 movies, and 8 albums, and I didn't do a good job on the albums, but I knew I wouldn't. What was I going to pick? You know what I mean? What out of a collection of 8,000? What yeah, the 8 albums that I want to listen to for 8 weeks. No, there's not 8 albums that I'm comfortable being the only thing I listen to for 8 weeks. So I picked random stuff, and they weren't good choices. They were not. It was not stuff that I don't want to listen to. I definitely wanted to listen to them all, but I want to listen to them all today, not listen to them all within the next few weeks. And I only got like a couple Noise albums in there, three maybe, and that's so I'm a little stressed. How am I going to make Noise with Ivan not talking about stuff? But I do have a couple ideas and a few things. I could start making clips out of the old ones. 8 books, 8 movies, 8 TV shows. Or no, no TV shows. 8 albums. That's what I'm trying to do starting tomorrow. So I don't know how it's going to work, but the idea is that you're really focusing on every aspect of them, the repetitive listenership, and really understanding these movies as if they are your favorites, right? Or these albums as if they are your favorites, as if they're the ones that you grew up with. What if you could grow up with a whole different 8 albums that formed your personality? So it's kind of a way to do that over again. So when I meditated on the idea that I could really be stunting my workflow and things, it could really be an issue for the things that I'm doing. Opposed with that, I also feel that I could really benefit from it. And in next time I go into it, because I've been uncomfortable recently with the way that Noise with Ivan works, and that I don't address things as I don't listen to albums and address them as critically as I used to do. This is a Candela wrapper. I almost exclusively smoke Connecticut's. So this is very, very different for me. I have had a few of the Grenadier Candela wrappers, the Game Candela wrappers, but never a nice. No, because I've had the Okay, I've had a lot. So, like Swamp Thing or the Barber Pole cigars with Candela and Maduro. But it's been like almost a year. All I smoke is those Odyssey Connecticut's. So this is a very new experience for me. Tasty. It's pretty spicy. It does taste like wasabi. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm getting that now. I don't want to take another draw because it's going to be too hot. Wow. My dad gave me that cigar a little bit ago. He's like, "This is a wasabi cigar." I said, "Mmm." He said it's by the same people that make one of my favorite cigars, the La Bamba 606. This is an impressive stick. I'm sorry about all the cigar talk. So anyway, without further ado, let me start with books, then go to movies, get a little more interesting for my general audience, and then go to albums at the end. You're going to be fairly disappointed with the albums. But books were really easy for me to pick out because I actually have them physical media. I just have a library of nothing that I've actually read through, mostly haven't read through. And I own a lot of books that I really want to read. I'm interested in reading. So, the first thing book wise, if you ever catch me reading, you're most likely, and it's not the Bible, you're most likely going to catch me with one of these. This is Spurgeon's Sermons. It's a 10 volume set, but I thought I could cheat a little bit. It's kind of always comfort reading. And I figured this is more of a, as far as the books go, this is more of a challenge to actually read one book per week. And so I thought that having comfort reading around, something that I always like to read, something that I'm always fixed upon, would be a good option. Even though it's not really just one book, this can kind of be like the magazine of the next few weeks' routine. Also, I will be keeping up, of course, with reading scripture on a daily basis. I have a 4 chapter a day thing going right now, and that's not something that I'm going to give up for the 8 week program, of course. On the goofy side of things, this is a very, very good book, very intense book, um, and I don't remember it well, so I shouldn't be really commenting on it. But Star Trek Federation, this is one of the best Star Trek books around. I do like these kinds of books. When I was a kid, liked the Dan Brown books. I don't read fiction almost ever as an adult, but I want to give myself a chance to read it. I want to push myself to kind of read it with no, with, it's this is supposed to be a minimizing challenge, but I think as far as books go, again, it's going to be a push for me to actually read through all the things, and I got some hefty books too. Um, but yeah, this is one of the more mind-bending classic sci-fi, and it's Next Generation in the original series, so you can't really go wrong. I'm a big Next Generation guy. The Study of Counterpoint by Fuchs. This is something that I always try to consider when I'm composing. Oh, translated and edited by Alfred Mann is probably pretty important to note. I have a very basic, stupid guy understanding of counterpoint and composition in general. So I wanted to read through this. It's very thin, not too tough. And I wanted to read that as well as Schoenberg's Fundamentals of Musical Composition, just a little bit bigger, but both of these should be easy, and most of it's music. So, it's not like you're It's not like it's going to get too boring. Hudson Taylor's Spiritual Secret. This is a biography that goes hand in hand with George Mueller's autobiography and David Brainerd's autobiography, or David Brainerd's diary. So he was an evangelist, went to China, and yeah, I've never read it. So I know I love with all my heart those two, the David Brainerd diary and the autobiography of George Mueller. Fantastic books. And this is said to be right there with him. I actually have 2 copies of it, so got to wear at least one of them out. Excited about that. Again, something a little bit more fun, not theological, really, or productive in any way, but it's kind of historical and poetic. The Song of Roland, I think, is a great pick, just for something different. Desiring God, John Piper. John Piper's my favorite pastor. Love listening to him. Constantly listening to him. So if I'm not going to actually listen to any sermons, it would be nice to get a little bit of Piper in along with the Spurgeon sermons. And one of my favorite books ever, but it's so long that I don't think you can overread it. John Calvin, Institutes of the Christian Religion. This is a crazy book. You kind of get some historical stuff that doesn't have quite the theological weight that like the first book in it has. And again, this is kind of technically multiple books, but I think it's all right, and you're never going to run out of literature here. So yeah, this is a strong push, and it always breaks my heart every time I read it. Aside from the scripture itself, this really holds up along with those Spurgeon sermons for me. So those are my books. I picked movies, picked really randomly. I did kind of want to get a blend, but I didn't. I didn't get a good blend. The Transformers movie, my dad sent it to me, and I was like, geez, I want to watch this. But I was like, in movies, this is mostly going to be happening while I'm making CDs for you folks to send out. I watched so many movies doing that, and I've never been a movie guy. So I've seen a lot of stuff that I never would have watched otherwise. The Dropman's Contract, I love the Michael Nyman score on that. It seems weird, it seems whimsical, it seems like a fun movie, but I don't think it's going to be something that's particularly appealing or fun for me to watch, other than just for the sake of the score, which I've listened to over and over and over. So, it's a little bit of a challenge, and it's also an indulgence just because of the score. Reservoir Dogs. I know it and love it to be a classic movie. It's not an amazing movie, but it's simple enough, I think, to where you can divide it up and kind of understand it, get some quotes out of it, I'm sure. I love Steve Buscemi. And I threw Inglourious Basterds in there because I own it, and I've never seen it. Not all the way through, anyway. I've seen the beginning where they're smoking the pipes. Not a big Quentin Tarantino guy at this point. I loved him, but I feel like when you enjoy Quentin Tarantino, that should encourage you to go to kind of the classic films that inspired Quentin Tarantino, and maybe films that are a little bit more in depth, a little bit more thematic, as opposed to if you don't like aesthetics. Quentin Tarantino definitely is an aesthetic guy and a what makes this good, like almost like mathematical as opposed to emotional. He's not an emotional filmmaker, and I like emotional films. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, this is not an emotional set. Well, no, we're doing good. Treasure of Sierra Madre. As you I'm sure know, I'm a huge Melvins fan. King Buzzo would not shut up about the Treasure of Sierra Madre. I've never seen it, not all the way through, and I hear that's fantastic. I want to just find out what makes it fantastic, and it's something that he's obviously seen many, many times. That along with Wise Blood. I only seen Wise Blood one time, or a couple times, but I didn't come by it while I was looking for stuff. This is just stuff I scrolled and said, okay, that through Tubi and my own YouTube collection. I want to get some comedy, some fun stuff in there, but also a little bit of a challenge because it's older. The producers, Yeah, not something that's super easy for me to enjoy, but you have to loosen a couple screws and then you can totally laugh at some of that old, maybe more ridiculous stuff. This t-shirt's too small. I apologize. I didn't think I was gonna have to take the hoodie off. It's hot in here. All Quiet on the Western Front. I know the name. I would never seen it, and it seems like it would be emotional. And I threw a kung fu movie in there, flying, flyer and magic sword. I don't know anything about those, so I don't know what to add. I liked the Nutty Professor pretty good, even though it was dumb. So I thought the producers would be a good move. It's again something that I had to kind of push myself to enjoy and understand and appreciate. And I know kung fu movies to be that way as well. All right. Is this the time? I think this is the time. Let me get hyped up. Albums, not ones I know well. Some I know well. But yeah, I'm concerned about how good my reviews are. This is supposed to be reviews. Am I really talking about it? Interesting things? Am I noticing a lot? Sometimes you have to make a sacrifice to make these better in general, even though I won't get to hit you guys with a handful of noise recommendations all the time. But, I can clean up some of the older releases. And I do have a good noise with I've been prepared because I have a list here that was pretty cool. Gede Manik Bali Barong. I don't know what this is. Okay, let me be completely. It's from Bali. It's Indonesian music, Indonesian folk music, possibly. It says it's manic, ritualistic, dense, instrumental, acoustic, spiritual improvisation, rhythmic, hypnotic, surreal, tribal, microtonal type stuff, which should be good. I really enjoyed one Egyptian album. I'll just put it was Egyptian classical music. I can just put the cover up. That was an RYM recommendation. This was like next to it. So I said, bro, let's keep digging because I can't believe how good that was. It was this, I had the same reaction to it to like Mahler. Like, it was amazing. These next two, I'm excited to try them. But that's not really what you want to be putting on your 8-week program. And it's awful that I put two folk albums. I'm not a folk guy, but I have a tendency to go toward folk, even though I don't know anything about folk and I don't have any talent as it corresponds to folk music. I can kind of play classical guitar and I have a distinct acoustic guitar style. So I think folk music is something that I could adapt to well, but I don't know anything about it. I don't really like it that much. I don't even like Bob Dylan that much. I like who's the guy? The One of Us Cannot Be Wrong guy, Leonard Cohen. But Tia Blake, folk songs and ballads, and Mary O'Hara, songs of Ireland. These I don't know anything about, but they seem appealing. They don't seem appealing. It's not that I regret diving into folk music. It's weird to have stuff that's that esoteric and this is the stuff that's supposed to be incredibly influential, but I've never been around anything like that, you know what I mean? We had some Irish records as kids. My brother was really into Irish culture and stuff like that, so I know I may have bummed you out with the first 3 releases if you're looking for noise, and it's kind of sad. Sifuku 1 by Shurayuki Hime. Fantastic ambient noise wall artist. Of course, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's well known for ambient noise wall. And I've had some really great experiences listening to his projects, and this is one that I own, A. And B, this is one that is really, really long. So I figured I would have ambient noise wall or noise prepared for me. It's kind of the same way I picked out a whole 10-volume set for a book and a John Calvin book for a book. I really had myself set as far as theological literature and comfort theological literature. Same thing for ambient noise wall and music. That's why I put Sifuku 1 in there. I also grabbed Controlled Bleeding, Knees and Bones. It's something that I know to be popular and a fantastic noise release, even though I don't know anything about it. I haven't really listened to it. And there's a whole lot as far as noise music goes. I dove into Prurient recently. I wasn't as into it as I thought I would be. Yeah, it's weird how this is. I'm in a whole new generation of that stuff. MDK by Magma, it has to be there. I love that record, and I would love to have a bunch more albums from Magma, and a bunch more prog albums in general. I would love to do Camel and bands like that, Gentle Giant. Um, I have a real fetish for that kind of thing, and it's not something that I get a lot of lately because it's all been punk and noise and stuff like that. So having this might get me excited about listening to some things like that. I did have a Holdsworth phase recently. My favorite guitar player, him and Vinnie Riley, and Alan Holdsworth, Vinnie Riley, Buckethead, Yngwie Malmsteen. Let's keep it going, Segovia. There's one that Eric Johnson. I'm sorry if you think Eric Johnson's overrated. I love it. Love it. Love Cliffs of Dover. I watched that. What is that? Austin City Limits, Cliffs of Dover. I'll watch that all day long. But it's not on my list, so I can't listen to it for the next 8 weeks. You know, it might be good for Noise with Ivan because I'm going to know what I'm missing as well. This just kind of makes me think, oh gosh, how many things do I want to listen to that are not here? And someone who I used to listen to a lot, maybe high school times or something like that. It's an artist I really relate to. I think I then composed like Grouper, and I picked Dragging a Dead Deer Up a Hill. I don't know it as well as maybe AIA, well rated and well regarded. So I think it could be something to explore. So let's break it down. I have a Noise with Ivan idea ready that is very, very much harsh noise. So I got you with that at least, but this 8 weeks could really be a problem. This is gonna be over like the last Thursday in April, um, and then I'll be able to listen to all kinds of stuff. Maybe we will have. Maybe I'll have because I've been getting recommendations and requests to feature stuff on Noise with Ivan. It's possible that that's going to be happening more. And I'm gonna have a bunch of stuff that I released that I wasn't able to listen to because it was on an 8 week program. And hey, I can at least listen to make sure the CDs work. But yeah, let me know about your creative effort mechanisms. I'm definitely going to try to write and compose a little bit more because it's going to encourage some focusing extra on artistic projects is going to encourage thought, and not being able to intake quite as much is going to stop, and listening to too much and watching too much and enjoying too much is going to stop suppressing creative output, I think. So, and I have always said you should listen to more than you should listen to more than you make. But I really do, and it might be a problem. But you also, yeah, and I'm not saying I'm going to make anything, but I want to produce seeds. I want to at least get some seeds and start experimenting. I don't want to release just any old thing as of now. I will say in April, I think April 16th, I have a release coming out with Hannah Haruna, which is exciting. It's weird how backed up Basement Corner is, but he has projects left and right. Thank you so much. There's still plenty to listen to, and I'm sure I can hit you with recommendations in some way, shape, or form. And I'm sure I can make some kind of Noise with Ivan just the same. Possibly that's talking about handwritten letters and slavery. Possibly that's also talking about theorizing more than talking about albums specifically. Um, and I don't know what's wanted or needed necessarily on this show, so and I'm always gonna have new releases to announce. So thank you for watching. Thank you for all your love and support. Right back at you. Anything you need, let me know. And Godspeed.